I want you to think about the last time your phone rang with an unknown number. You looked at the screen, felt that tiny surge of annoyance, and let it go voicemail. Why? Because you knew what was coming. A script, a quota, and a person who doesn't know your name trying to solve a problem you don't have. We have spent our whole lives building walls against being sold. But today, I wanted to show how to walk right through those walls, not by pushing harder, but by doing the one thing most salespeople are afraid to do: stopping the pitch entirely. Remember the last time a salesperson walked toward you in a store? What did you do? You looked at your phone. You pretended to be very interested in a jacket that wasn't your size. You suddenly needed to be somewhere else. We have all done it. Because somewhere along the way, we have learned that sales feels like pressure and pressure feels bad. But here's what's strange. You have bought things that made you feel amazing. Things you didn't even know you needed until someone showed them to you the right way. You've had conversations that didn't feel like sales at all. They felt like friends saying, hey, you have to try this. And you tried it and you were glad you did. That's the gap between ordinary selling and creative selling. And that gap, it's everything. Let me tell you about a car salesman named Carlos. Well, I'm not talking about Carlos Sainz, definitely. Carlos worked at a mid-range dealership in Texas. Nothing fancy. The kind of place where balloons on the lot were considered marketing. And for years, Carlos sold cars the way everyone else did. Features, price, let me talk to my manager. Here's what I can do for you today. He was fine. Not great, fine. That one day, a woman came in. Late 40s, tired eyes, clearly not excited to be there. She wanted a reliable used car. The budget was tight. Carlos started his usual routine, and about 2 minutes in, he stopped himself because he noticed something. She kept glancing at the back seat of every car she looked at. So he asked, do you have kids? She looked up, a little surprised. 3 and a dog. Carlos didn't say another word about engines. He walked her to a different car entirely, a roomy SUV, slightly outside her budget, not by much, opened the back door and said, picture Saturday morning. Everyone piles in, dog included. No one's fighting about space. She bought the car. Not because of horsepower, not because of financing terms, because Carlos showed her a feeling before he showed her a price tag. That's creative selling. That's not manipulation. It's attention. It's asking what actually matters to this person instead of reciting what you were trained to say. So what's creative selling really? Strip it all down and here's what you get. It's the decision to treat every sale as a conversation instead of a transaction. It's choosing curiosity over script. It's understanding your customer. It's not about number in a pipeline, but they are a person with a problem, a story, and a life that exists well outside your product. And when you meet people there, in their story, something shifts. They stop being defensive. They stop looking for the exit. They lean in. Most salespersons are trying to convince. Creative sellers are trying to connect. And connection almost always beats convincing. Here's a strategy that almost nobody uses, and it's almost embarrassingly simple. Tell a story before you make a point. Not a long story, not a rehearsed one, just a real, specific moment that makes your customer feel something before their brain starts calculating. Think about how a doctor delivers a difficult news versus how a friend does. A doctor says, based on our data, I recommend option A. A friend says, listen, my cousin went through exactly this. Here's what actually helped. Same information, completely different effect. When you sell a story, you're not bypassing your customer's brain. You're giving it something to hold on to, something memorable. Because here's the thing about human memory. We don't remember lists. We don't remember bullet points. We remember moments, images, and feelings. If you can make someone feel something in the first 60 seconds of a pitch, you have them. And the story doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be true, and it has to be theirs. Before your next pitch, try this. Ask yourself, who is one real customer whose life got better because of what I said? What was the moment things changed for them? Now tell that story. Before the features, before the pricing, before the deck. Watch what happens. There's another tool in the Creative Sellers Kit that sounds almost too simple to work, the what-if scenario. You're not telling the customer what your product does. You're walking them into a version of their future where the problem is already solved. What if you never had to chase invoices again? What if your team could onboard someone in a day instead of a week? What if your mornings look completely different 6 months from now? You're not selling a product, you are selling a before and after. And the human imagination, once they picture the after, does most of the work for you. People will pay real money to close the gap between where they are and where they want to be. Your job is just to make that gap visible and then make it feel crossable. Now let's talk about something that most businesses completely ignore: the ceremony. Every interaction you have with the customer is either forgettable or it isn't. The email after purchase, the onboarding call, the moment someone opens a package, these feel like small logistic things. They are not. They are the spaces where loyalty is either built or lost. Think about what it feels like to open an Apple product. The weight of the box, the slow magnetic pull of the lid, even the way the accessories are folded inside. You haven't even turned the thing on and you already feel something. That feeling wasn't accidental. Someone designed it deliberately to make you feel like you choose well. You don't need Apple budget to do this. You need Apple's intention. What's one moment in your customer journey that feels boring or automated right now? The confirmation email, the delivery notification, the renewal reminder? Now ask, how could you make that moment feel like something they would actually notice? Something personal, something warm, something that they say, we have thought about it specifically. That's the ceremony. And the ceremony is what makes people come back without being asked. Here's one more thing, and it might be the most important thing in this entire conversation. The best creative sellers listen more than they talk. Not politely waiting to respond, listening. Actually listening. The kind where you're paying attention to what someone isn't saying as much as what they are. The hesitation before they answer. The thing they mention once and then drop. The objection they raise that sounds logical but is really emotional. When someone says, we don't have a budget right now, sometimes that's true. And sometimes it means I'm not convinced yet. When someone says, let me think about it, sometimes they need time. And sometimes they need one more thing to be true before they can say yes. Creative selling is noticing the difference. It means asking follow-up questions instead of launching into rebuttals. It means sitting with silence for a second longer than feels comfortable. It means saying that makes sense. Help me understand what would need to be true for this to feel right, instead of immediately defending your price. The sale almost never happens because you out-argued someone. It happens because they felt heard. So here's what all of it comes down to. You don't need a bigger pitch. You don't need a better deck. You don't need to memorize more objection handling scripts. You need to get genuinely curious about the person across from you. What they actually want, what they are afraid of, what would make their life better, and how does your selling fit into that, honestly, specifically for them. When you start there, selling stops feeling like selling, it starts feeling like helping. And helping turns out something people are remarkably open to. Carlos did not close that sale in Texas because he had the right words. He closed it because for one moment, he stopped thinking about the car and started thinking about her Saturday mornings. That's the whole game really. And now, go find yours.